toast.
Alright. Did everybody hear me alright? No? How about now? We good? Whoa. Hello? Okay. Good evening, and thank you all for... Sorry, getting directions from Dad. On your own birthday speech. Good evening, and thank you all for being here to celebrate what is, in our very unbiased opinion, the greatest dad in the world's 60th birthday party. So, in the impossible task of having to give a speech about one of the two most important people in your life, we didn't think that we could ever truly explain how much we absolutely adore and love you, Dad. And so what we came up with instead was that we try and talk about what we think Dad wanted us to learn in raising us and how we learned those lessons. When we were growing up, every single time that one of us had something risky or challenging to do, we'd always look at Dad and we'd be like, Dad, I don't know what to do. Should I do it? I'm totally scared. And Dad would look at us and he would say, I don't know. Just give it a try. But if you're going to do it, you have to... You have to fully commit to it. So, what we want to do tonight is talk about how profound those three statements have been on all four of our lives. Jeez, too many drinks already. All four of our lives. And then share with you guys some memories that we have with our dad growing up. So, to start...
Okay, so in case you guys couldn't hear, that epic phrase that Donald would always say is, I don't know. Give it a try, but if you're going to do it, make sure you fully commit to it. So I'll take the first part, which is, I don't know. I don't know how we actually survived. You see, when we all moved into college, the Donald here was in charge of electronics. And for any of you who've ever lived in a dorm, there's usually about 2 plugs. But oh no, we had the mini fridge, the microwave, the toaster oven, the computer, any electronic you could possibly imagine, plugged into one outlet, about 4,000 other appliances that he could come up with. So I think, none of us burned to the ground, which is, A+, here we are standing today. So I really think that throughout the course of our college careers, some of our happiest times were coming home, because there were safer circuits, a little bit of AC, Kathleen had it on pounded, a little tundra weather for you, it's that time of life, and, sorry, Mom. I'm in med school. I'm trying to make this educational. And so, I think when we all would come home, the best thing, too, was better food and definitely better booze. Cheap stuff at college versus the liquor cabinet at home. Serious upgrade. And so what I think my siblings here really missed out on is that once you go to graduate school, in particular medical school, things just get a little bit sweeter. I can recall a weekend when a couple of my med school friends and I came home, and it was after an exam, and don't be worried, the future of medicine is in safe hands, but we got a few drinks, and around 5 in the morning we were scrounging for a few more drinks, and we came across Don's 1972 bottle of Seagram's whiskey. And of course, that looked like a great thing to drink at the time, so we popped that sucker open, down the hatch it went, and to Don's horror in the morning, realized that his beloved bottle had been drank. But all he could say was, I don't even know how you found that. Well, Don, I don't really know either. So, throughout the course of our careers, there was, some fun times with the Seagram's whiskey, but we were always learning. We were pounding the pavement at Notre Dame, Vassar, USC, Jeff, you name it, we've been all over the place, thanks to Dad's generosity. But I think throughout the whole thing, he was really learning a lot as well. Some lessons that we taught Don is, hey, when you ask your female child to fill your wife's windshield wiper fluid, and she accidentally fills it with high concentrate boat wash and chemically burns the windshield off the car, that they don't really earn their keep that way. So I'm still working on the earning your keep part, but I'll get to that eventually, hopefully, in the next coming years. But I think at the end of the day, he's always taught us that, I don't know. I don't know how I found the whiskey. I don't know why I thought that was boat wash. But at the end of the day, you just always instill in us the value of it's okay not to know everything. And I don't really know how we got so lucky, but I'm glad that we did.
So the second part of that is, I don't know, but give it a try. And that usually was the phrase that my dad would use before any one of us was about to try something that was bordering on death-defying, or at the very least, scary at the time. And if some of those adventures were nuts, then you should have seen what happened on Savage Family Vacations. So that spark for travel came early in life for all four of us, and after we went on 4 13-year-old trips and went to exotic places like Kenya and Tanzania, the Mediterranean, and China and Australia, it was finally Dad's turn for his 13-year-old trip experience. So Dad, for his trip, opted to pick Botswana, Zimbabwe, and South Africa. And Dad plans a trip with a slight modification on the original plan, which is, I don't know, parentheses, if we'll survive, but let's try it. So we should have known that something bad was coming when Dad sent us all what he thought was a hilarious email, because apparently in Zimbabwe it's illegal for U.S. citizens to transfer in anything but U.S. dollars cash. So we were informed to, bring extra socks, because each of us would be stuffing about $700 worth of cash into our socks to carry them across the border to pay for the trip. So that was part one, and we should have seen something coming. So the first adventure started with whitewater rafting. And this was not, cruising down the Susquehanna whitewater rafting. Dad managed to find what is known to be the most complicated and challenging whitewater rafting course with more 5-star rapids than any other river in the country. And again, should have known it was coming, because Dad sent us videos to get excited about the trip with things like multiple people die on this river several times a year because this is so awesome. Hopefully we'll come back with all 6. And, lest you think it's going to be okay in those calm periods of the river, where it's nice and relaxing water, and maybe you want to take a jump in because it's 90 degrees out. No, that water is alligator infested, so you can't go in there either. You can't put your little toes in the water. So God help you if you fall out. So that was the first part of the trip, the one we knew that we were coming for. Later in the trip, we're coming back from a safari outing, and we're driving across the bridge, and Dad sees bungee jumping across the bridge. And we all knew we were in trouble, because you saw that little Cheshire grin come up, and you see the hands start shaking. I pull over. And there we were. We signed a handful of pieces of paper that said, I don't know what, indemnifying us against almost nothing. And off we went. We got some cash out of our socks, and there we go. So we're standing at the top of the bridge. Mom has now sequestered herself on the opposite side of safe land, and all 4 of us are looking down at rocks and what looked like a pretty shaky bungee rope with a whole bunch of pieces coming out of it, broken. And all of us looked at Dad and said, Dad, do you really think this is okay? He's like, I don't know, just try it. What's the worst that could happen? We're like, okay. So I think seared into Mom's memory will be the horrifying screams of all 4 of her children as they plummeted to what we thought nearly certainly was going to be our death. And then the final part of that is, as if the vacation wasn't enough on Dad's trip, there was just one more thing that we needed to conquer, and that is the Devil's Pool. For those of you that know Zimbabwe, Victoria Falls is one of the largest and most tallest waterfalls in the entire world. And wouldn't you know it, at the very edge of the falls, maybe 4 feet from the precipice, gravity has worked its way so that it's created its own little tiny whirlpool, about the size of a big jacuzzi tub, and it's drilled its way down into the earth. And the brave can actually wade their way across the river and onto a little pile of rocks in front of this jacuzzi-side tub and jump in. All 4 of us. Mom, again, safely on dry land. So Dad's got her entire life in his hands as we're fighting currents to get across there. And again, we get to the top of this pile of rocks about 10 feet from the edge of the waterfall. We all look at Dad and we're like, Dad, really? We did the bungee jumping and that was all right. It's a little crazy. No, don't worry, just try it. You just gotta go for it. And so wouldn't you know it, all four of us jumped straight in. We have a great picture, actually that picture in the back of Dad jumping into the pool is actually the picture of him jumping into the Devil's Pool in Zimbabwe. Probably right at the edge of the tent is where the edge of the waterfall is, if you want a visual for it. So it's a wild vacation, it's been a wild life, but if anything, just try it, just go for it. Has given all of us a sense of fearlessness, a love for adventure, and knowing that sometimes life just takes a leap of faith.
Well, there was a little article in the Times Leader a few weeks back about the proper ways to raise a child safely, and unfortunately, Dad just about broke every single rule. But we're still here. And whenever my mother, when we were very young, would take one of her trips to the grocery store, the only minute of peace that she could get, raising us four little monsters, my dad would load up the back of the Volvo with our big wheels and drive up the extremely steep hills of our neighborhood, all the way up to about Risers and Ellis's house. My siblings and I would jump out of the car with excitement, only to be confronted with the terror of the trip down on big wheels. It was really, really scary when you're 4 years old. And I can remember clutching my feet onto that pavement and knowing that if I slip, it might just be the end of my 4-year-old self. So Dad drove down to the bottom of the hill to make sure any cars weren't coming, and just before he did, leaving us at the top alone, he said, "Just commit to it." Because as we all know, big wheels do not have brakes. The best that we could do was let go and hope for the best. And so, there we were at the top, all four of us, perched in our big wheels, and we committed to it. We let go. And our big wheels went screeching down the hills. The pedals were flying out like propellers on a jet airplane. There was no stopping us. I was convinced that I was going to go up and over all the way down to Hillside. But I wasn't, because our dad was there to catch us. He was there to catch us at the top of the next hill, because yes, in fact, we were going that fast. He caught us before we plummeted down an even steeper precipice, a precipice that wouldn't be conquered until a few years later in our adolescence, when it was conquered on the go-kart. The problem was that the brakes on the go-kart gave out. They gave out, and so we went down not just one hill, not two, not three, not four, but 5 hills, all the way down to the bottom of the Woodridge side. We made it out alive. We committed to it. And just this afternoon, as I was in the pool trying to reteach myself how to do a backflip before I cracked my back off of the water, my dad said to me, "Just commit to it." And no matter what, my dad has always been there to encourage us, to make sure that we give whatever we're doing our all, and when we fall short, to catch us.
So I'm the family sap, so I got not sad part, the other part. But anyway, so clearly we could go on with these memories all night. But in the interest of getting Dad back to the bar for another one of his gin and ginger ales and talking to you, thank you, all of you wonderful people that have been such important parts of his and our lives. I just kind of wanted to close up talking about how, again, these 3 lessons that Dad has always taught us. I don't know, just try it, but you've got to commit to us. Have really defined our adult lives and the successes that we've had in them. Oh God, I'm going to start crying already. So, Dad, what I think is the most important thing to us is not just these memories that we have with you that are so incredible, but more importantly is the adults that we've become because of these memories with you. What you have raised is 4 kids who are so adventurous, and who, because of the memories that we had together, the memories that you built for us, ended up being best friends in adulthood. I think that the most important lesson that you taught us through this all, Dad, is that I think the most important lesson that he's taught us all is that, like jumping into that devil's pool in Africa, we understand that sometimes the risks that you have to take in your life are worth them. And the reason that the four of us can take those risks in our life is because, like the big wheels tearing down the hills of Woodridge on our big wheels, you've always been there to support us and always been there to lead the way for us. And above all, Dad, the greatest opportunity that any of us have had is having you as a father. You are such an intelligent and compassionate and generous man, and those qualities about you have allowed us to succeed in anything that we've wanted to do in our life. I think everybody in here knows that my dad is not exactly the loudest or the most chattier guy in the room, particularly in comparison to my mom. Or Mike Ferraro. But I think that everyone in this room, and most importantly the four of us, know that we are happy and we are successful in our adult lives because, Dad, you have always been there quietly pushing us to achieve amazing things while never taking any credit for the enormous contributions that you've made to our lives and to our success. So none of this would have been possible without you. Dad, we love you for the amazing childhood that you gave us. We love you for the amazing love and family that you've surrounded us with that we're so grateful to be a part of. We love you for everything that you taught us about this world and about ourselves and about the people that we can become as adults. And most importantly, we love you because you are a father who has a heart that knows absolutely no bounds in terms of his family or his friends as to how far you will go and how much you will sacrifice for the people that you love. And there are not many people like that in this world, and you are one of them, and we are so, so lucky to have you as our dad. So, what I think we're most lucky for is all the things that we've tried. We probably might not have tried a lot of them because we didn't know about them. But even if we didn't know what happened, he told us that we didn't know, we wouldn't find out if we didn't try. And very much like how we love you, you have to commit to it with all of your heart. Happy birthday, Dad, and we love you. We're not done yet. Okay, so now that I'm done with the crying part of this, we have two announcements that we need to make. The number one, Mom is going to kill us for, but Mom gave us one set of directions and Dad gave us the other, so I'm sorry, Mom, but your vote counting for 6 is being trumped by Dad's 60th birthday privilege. So, yes. So, Mom, if you could please come up here for your 30th anniversary smooch with Dad. July 3rd was Dad and Mom's 30th anniversary, so come on, Mom, where are you? Get up here, there you are. Just this Tuesday. Just this Tuesday. Before we give Dad the microphone, we'd also like to encourage everyone to stick around because we got the best birthday present that we could think of for our favorite pyromaniac. So please enjoy the fireworks starting at 9:15.
Well, for those of you that made the wedding last year, I won't go on for 20 minutes. All I gotta say is, how lucky am I? And it's really nice to be at a party where other people are asking me, who is that? I don't think I've ever been to a party where I know everybody but 1 or 2 people. So this has been great. And thank you all for coming. Thank you for being my friend.